Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I know many of you are joining us from all across the world, so thankful. I would say good morning, but it may not be morning where you are. My name is Hunter Haston. I'm one of our assistant directors of admissions counseling within the undergraduate admissions office, and I'm joined today by several of our faculty members through our English, professional writing, and linguistics departments. And we are excited to be able to share a little bit more about what all those areas kind of specialize in, and for you to learn a little bit more about those opportunities at Baylor. So I'll go ahead and let our faculty members take it away and introduce themselves, and we'll get started. I would like to mention, as we go through this session, there is a Q&A available for you to ask questions down there at the bottom of your Zoom. So if you have any questions as we're working through, our faculty members will hopefully be able to try to answer those during our time today.
Hi there, my name is Hope Johnston. I completed my PhD at the University of Cambridge back in 2008, and so for the past 14 years, Baylor has been my home. My area of research specialty is medieval literature. I focus specifically on Chaucer, and I enjoy bringing my research expertise into the classroom. Today, I'm looking forward to sharing some information with you about the English literature major, as well as the creative writing minor that we offer in the English department. Easy for me to say. So looking forward to talking with you.
Hi, my name's Clay Butler. I've been teaching at Baylor for 21 years. My undergrad was from here, so it's fun to be back in my alma mater. My PhD is from University of Texas in Austin, and I do linguistics. I'm a sociolinguist. A fun fact about me is that I live on campus. I'm a faculty in residence in Martin Hall with 250 freshman boys. I'll talk to you in a minute about linguistics.
Hi, my name is Mike Palma, and I'm a faculty member in the Professional Writing and Rhetoric program. And I'm going to start today by telling you a little bit about our department as a whole, and then I'll go ahead and hand it off to my colleague, Hope, to talk to you about literature and creative writing. And then Clay will talk about linguistics, and I'll go ahead and sandwich PWR there right in between those and talk a little bit about that. Welcome, so glad that you're here with us today. Excited to tell you about the department and the PWR major. So our department is really a dynamic department on campus, one of the largest. We have faculty with a range of expertise in the different areas represented in our majors and minors. And so the diversity of expertise is really unique, and the ability to take courses in these different areas is really special because they're complementary, and also you have sort of distinct ability to focus on different areas of specialization that you might have. We have 40 full-time faculty who are deeply invested in the formation of our students, both as scholars and thinking about their intellectual development, but also your professional development, your sort of formation as citizens going forward, moral, spiritual development. We really think of students as whole persons and try to, in every way possible, serve as mentors and guides that help our students sort of find those things that they're called to do and really excited about. That comes through intentional mentoring through undergraduate research, through small class sizes, through faculty mentoring programs and advising. We have several different ways that you can become engaged on campus, and that we engage with you to try to get to know you and give you opportunity to meet your peers. So we have exciting lectures by scholars and writers from around the world that come to campus to talk with our students. The Bell Poetry Festival is one of those really special events that happens each year at Baylor. Many opportunities for study abroad experiences. So Clay will talk with you in a little bit about his program that he runs in Baylor in New Zealand. We have, Hope has run a study abroad program in the UK. And that's something I also, would hope at some point to do a study abroad experience, but something that many of our majors do and really benefit by. We have several organizations, including Sigma Tau Delta, which is a national honor society that you can participate in. Student organizations such as the Linguistics Club and the Professional Writing and Rhetoric Organization. The Phoenix Literary Magazine is undergraduate literary journal where you could work and be a reviewer for that, work on editing pieces, designing, and then actually work on the publication of that. And you can also submit your own work to it to publish your work that you're doing either in the context of your courses or outside of it. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Hope now so she can talk with you about literature and creative writing.
Thanks so much, Mike. So literature and creative writing, we have students who are English majors and who many times want to be creative writing minors. Creative writing is one of our most popular minors, in fact. Next slide, please. But to begin with literature, I think it's important to stress that we're not only assigning homework for students to read, Chaucer and Shakespeare and Milton. Those are important, but we're really asking our students to think intentionally about the culture in which they live, continuity of cultural strands over time. So we're looking at how cultures shift and what values are indeed timeless. How does language shape identity? These are the kinds of questions we encourage our students to think about as they read literature with us. Next slide. So English literature and American literature really form an important part in the arts and sciences core curriculum. And the classes, we teach British, American literature, and world literature as well, giving students an opportunity to explore big ideas in multiple perspectives. All students in the College of Arts and Sciences take our American literature class, which has an emphasis on the different perspectives and cultures within our country. We want our students to really think through ethical implications of writing as they cultivate virtue in themselves. So studying at Baylor will hopefully prepare you to be a world citizen, but also prepare you for a variety of professional opportunities. The critical reading, analytical thinking, and clear communication developed as an English major are highly attractive skills on the job market. Our majors and minors have gone into a variety of different career paths since their time at Baylor, and we love to keep in touch with them. Next slide, please. So what does an English major look like in terms of the courses that you'll take? You start off by taking broad courses in British and American literature, which start at the dawn of time and go through till tomorrow. So those are really fun classes to teach. Then in your junior year, you start to specialize and look at literature more deeply within various cultural time periods. Medieval and Renaissance literature is my area of specialty. So this semester, I'm teaching students about 7 centuries worth of literature, and they're having a great time. Really, the midterm, it's going so well for them. Once you reach your senior year, then you have a pretty good idea of what type of literature really resonates with you. We offer courses in early British literature, late British literature, and American, as well as some fantastic electives. Whenever I see these flyers go up, I want to sign up for the courses. So next slide, please. Here's one that my colleague, Dr. Dan Walden, will be offering in the spring, giving students a chance to read not only Moby Dick, but various other pieces of literature with ties and connection to it. Looks like it's going to be quite the adventure. Next slide. We have another colleague who's going to be teaching a course offered in the past and being offered again on African American literature. So as you can see, we're encouraging students to think about literature and cultivate empathy, to cultivate different perspectives of the society in America in which we are living. Next slide. As for the classroom experience, as my colleague Mike already pointed out, we really take pride in having small class sizes. Our instructional method tends to be discussion-based and student-driven. We ask for logical, evidenced reasoning as students work through these literary pieces with us, and together we develop an understanding of people through texts. Next slide. We're fortunate here at Baylor University to be home to the Armstrong Browning Library, a world-class archive of material from the 19th century and a beautiful place where we regularly hold seminars. Here you can see a picture of one on Victorian poetry, which leverages the holdings of original works from the 19th century that students can interact with during their classes. Next slide. Creative writing, as I mentioned, is one of our popular areas of study with our students. Workshop classes let students write in a variety of genres, and we have world-class poets right here on the Baylor faculty. Each year we bring in some of the preeminent poets in the world. Last year that included Ukraine's best poet, connecting with our students via Zoom. And this year, we're proud to be hosting the U.S. Poet Laureate as part of the Bell Poetry Festival. Next slide. Poetry on campus means that students are able to interact with text creatively and to write and to share that with other students. So we don't just write essays in our department. Next slide. And when you leave the classroom, the campus, what professions might our English majors choose? Here on the screen, you see a variety of paths that our students have been taking since 2010. Law, medicine, publishing, teaching. They go and they work in the ministry. They've been hired by the military, government, nonprofits, as well as corporations. So if you have further questions, please do use the function that's available at the bottom of your screen. We'll try to get to those. Otherwise, you'll see on the screen contact information for our expert in the department on speaking about our literature and creative writing programs, my friend Elizabeth Dell. And thanks so much for the opportunity to talk to you just a little bit about the literature and creative writing programs today. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Hope. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the professional writing and rhetoric major. And so, in our information age, so much of the work that we do in professional context, academic context, civic context, right, is mediated by writing. And so expert writers are really highly valued in those various environments. And so in the professional writing and rhetoric major, we really try to provide students with research, editing, design, and writing expertise that will serve them in the career paths that they want to enter. And so professional writing, right, is a large umbrella category for lots of different kinds of jobs: social media writers, marketing coordinators, public relations specialists, nonprofit writers, and other professional writing positions, right? There are professionals who write and write extensively, like lawyers, right? And then there are those who sort of would identify as a writer. In both cases, right, this major is really well suited to helping students develop the kinds of expertise they want to develop. Now, writing is not something that we learn once, right? We don't learn through inoculation and then just sort of carry it forward statically as we move across different genres or contexts or media or audience. It's something that's learned over a lifetime and something that we have to relearn and adapt as we move across these different situations to meet these demands. And so one of the key parts of the major is developing versatility and the ability to assess and then adapt to the different demands of given writing situations that you face. And so part of this is through exposure through a range of different genres that you might write. So things like podcasts and memoirs and grant proposals, digital stories, instruction manuals, persuasive essays, journal articles, feature stories. We also really want our students to have deep knowledge about writing and rhetoric. So writing is not just something that we do, but also something that we can know a lot about. So learning about theories of storytelling, theories of document design, theories of rhetoric, theories of persuasion, right? All of these things are really essential to making informed decisions as a writer, and also being able to articulate that expertise that you have to others. And so that conscious awareness about how writing works, what it is, who writers are, how readers are impacted through their interactions with text are all vital parts of the learning that happen in the major. We also want our students to have a robust portfolio when they finish the major, right? To be able to say, not only, hey, I have these expertise, here are the courses that I take, but here's what I have to show for it. So through my internship, here are all the pieces that I developed while working at this publishing house or at this law firm. Through my undergraduate research and publication course, here's a piece that I had placed in Young Scholars in Writing, right? A undergraduate research journal, or in a literary magazine, right? That they've published a piece of creative nonfiction or spiritual writing in. We want our students to have lots of opportunities to write for audiences beyond an instructor. So through these community-based writing projects that they're doing, they're partnering with nonprofit organizations and businesses and creating materials for those businesses that they can go on and then use. We also have opportunities for our students with our tutoring writing course, for example, to work in the writing center as undergraduates to really learn, again, how writing works and how to interact with other writers to help them develop their own abilities. Internships are a key part of what we require in the major. So all of our students who graduate with a PWR degree also do a major or do an internship as part of the major. Grad school preparation is something that I'd say about a third of our majors are going on to PhD programs in rhetoric and writing studies. We have students who've gone on to top level MFA programs. And then I'd say, the other largest group that goes on to do graduate work rather than going straight into the workforce are students that go into law school. So in terms of the degree plan, we have 3 required courses, a 2000 level course where you really get a good sense of what professional writing rhetoric is, what are those kind of key threshold concepts about writing and rhetoric that are going to help you navigate the major, and also think about what are those professional paths that are open to you as a writer as you move through the major, and kind of think about how you can really be strategic and intentional about planning your course of study. The professional workplace writing course helps you think about differences between academic and professional writing to then prepare for the internship that you'll go on to do as part of the major. Our lecture-based courses really are about developing that deep knowledge and expertise about writing. And then the workshop courses, they speak really to kind of the versatility that I spoke about earlier, right? So thinking about the ways that moving from a course in advanced creative nonfiction to new media writing and rhetoric to technical writing, to undergraduate research and publication will allow you to really kind of think about all of the various ways that you can apply and adapt and then learn anew what it is that you need to do as a writer in those different situations. Then you have excellent opportunities to take courses in the department across the different majors, and then specifically literature courses, electives are ones that you'll be able to take and select those courses that are most exciting to you. If you'd like to talk more at any point about the major, my email is here, so please feel free to contact me and be happy to talk to you. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Clay to talk about the linguistics major.
Thank you, Mike and Hope. All great information. I might start off by saying why the linguistics major is in the English department, because we're also interested in words, right? So with the literature major, they're focusing on pulling social meanings and great ideas from the written word, while professional writing is focusing on how to produce excellent writing themselves and expressing their ideas. We're thinking about language and words from maybe a scientific perspective. How does language work as a human capacity? Next slide. So what is linguistics? It's a scientific study of language and the systems of systems within systems of language. We break it apart, again, as a human capacity, not necessarily as any individual language. So we're not studying Spanish per se in great detail, or German or Latin. We're studying the human ability to use language. So in that, we'll study things like the syntax of language, how we form phrases and clauses, the morphology of language, how we form words, how we combine meaningful parts, phonology, the sound system, so dialect issues. Also, pragmatics is something I'm personally interested in, where we study the conversations. What are the rules and the systems for, like, the exchange of terms, or how we express politeness, the appropriate relationships between us in the ways that we talk. So among many different things, this is some of the topics that we study. Next slide. The courses, and here's just a sampling of the courses that we offer. I teach a course on language and culture, where we consider language across all the different cultures of the world, well, many of the cultures of the world, and how we express our societies within it with our language. We also think about language acquisition, both as how adults learn second languages, but also how children acquire first languages. We have a course on the history of English, where we study the principles of how language changes slowly, incrementally over time to become other languages, or to just have vast differences between the older forms and the newer forms. We have courses on bilingualism, where it gets into the psychology of language, how the mind holds one language or multiple languages, either in children acquiring them naturally or adults who are using them and switching between languages. We also have a course on American dialects, where we take the map of the US and we divide up and see what are the distinctive features of the way Americans talk. Next slide. Our degree plan. One thing you might notice different from many other degrees is we have fewer required courses, 9 courses or 27 hours in specific linguistics courses. We do that because we're trying to make space in our major for students to take 4 additional hours, 4 additional courses in a less commonly studied language. So while everyone getting a BA, whether it's philosophy or English or whatever, everyone's required to take 3 semesters of a foreign language. We add to that 4 additional semesters of a less commonly studied language, such as Korean, Chinese, Russian, Greek, Arabic. Those are some of the common languages that our students will study. We also have a minor in linguistics, and that we take out 1 course, and then we also take out the extra language requirements. So you can study either as a major or as a minor in linguistics. Next slide. And our students go on to do all kinds of things. It's a great humanities degree where we require our students to break complex problems down and solve those problems. And that's a skill that every employer needs. So really our students go on to do just everything. But those who work specifically in linguistics, probably the largest group goes on to do speech pathology, where they're working either with children, working out their speech issues at an early age, or with adults, doing a recovery from strokes and things like that. Linguistics is a great feeder for a master's in licensing in speech therapy. Another large group goes on to do language teaching. They're interested in studying, and they'll get a graduate degree, perhaps in Spanish, French, Latin, things like this, and they go on to teach a foreign language. And linguistics allows you to be a good teacher in language because you're thinking about it more scientifically, perhaps, than just in the narrow field of one language. Another group goes on to be translators. We probably send one student every year, graduates and goes on and starts working with Wycliffe Bible translators. And we have a great relationship with that organization, and we support what they're doing. Another group just goes on to do missions in general, right? To study linguistics helps you float more easily, move more easily, perhaps between different languages. Another group goes on to be lawyers. We're a good pre-law degree because law requires you to think very carefully, precisely with language, and linguistics prepares you for that. And also another group will do software development, primarily in artificial intelligence. Next slide. And the last slide for me here is just a shameless plug for my program. Thank you for mentioning already, Mike, that I do Baylor in New Zealand every summer. We take a group there. Baylor faculty go all over the place, so you have the chance to take English courses in your major from many different European and other places around the world. Mendoza, Argentina. We have a professor who goes down there as well. And so there are a lot of different places you could study, but the New Zealand program is the only one that's housed in the English department, run completely by the English department. So we can prefer our own majors here, whether it's English, professional writing, or linguistics. And we have a great time there in the summers. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. If you have questions about linguistics, my email, as well as the rest of us, our emails are just our names, clay_butler@baylor.edu. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. We do have a few questions in our Q&A there that I can maybe ask and you guys can touch on. One that it's specific here to professional writing, but it could probably apply to all of you guys. But how easy is it to maybe double major in one of these majors that we're learning about today, as well as business?
Yeah, so all of our majors, right, are small enough that you can do a secondary major in another area. So double majors would be 2 within arts and sciences, and a secondary is, the business school is outside of arts and sciences. So we actually have several students who are business fellows who are also professional writing and rhetoric majors. And so I think that would be true of any of our majors. You could do that.
That's awesome. And then we have one other question here. Maybe can you guys talk about the landscape of being in Texas, and how maybe the culture, but also just infusing everything that has to do with Baylor's Christian mission, how that all is included in your majors. Maybe touch on a little bit of each.
Okay, so in literature, for instance, we sometimes have courses where students go to the Texas Collection, which is an archive that we have on campus with materials related to the history of Texas, and students work with those original materials and learn more about Texas's past. We also have, one of my colleagues runs a class about the American West, so you can learn about Texas there. But otherwise, faculty have a lot of academic freedom to pursue areas that are of their own interest and specialty, and with enthusiasm share this with students, whether that's Texas or whether that has to do with other parts of the world.
Thank you, Hope. Let's go. I'll do one last quick question here. There's a quick question there about C.S. Lewis literature and if that's prevalent in studies at Baylor. Can maybe someone touch on that?
We do, in fact, have a course on the Oxford Christians where C.S. Lewis is writing. It's part of that. And if you go with me or with one of my colleagues to Baylor and Oxford, you can, in fact, live in the same spaces where he himself taught medieval literature. So absolutely, we're very interested in having our students study Christian literature, Christian authors, but also to see some of that in situ, as it were, with C.S. Lewis in particular in Oxford.
Well, that concludes all of our time today. We want to thank you all for joining us, and thank you again to our faculty members for taking some time out today to talk to us a little bit, for us to learn about English, professional writing, and linguistics. We're going to head on to our next session, so feel free to jump in if you guys have any questions. Like I said, their email addresses are really their first name _ last name @baylor.edu, so feel free to follow up with any of them. And then we do have recordings of these sessions that will be sent out in the next few weeks, so feel free if you want to dive back in later to learn a little bit more, or need to check back in to learn about something that you missed. We'll be sending those out here pretty soon. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.